This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
No, he just can't go away. He just can't slither off into the sunset and leave us all alone. 28 days to go. Joe Biden has 28 days, 4 weeks, and he's going to do as much damage as possible. Today, Joe Biden commuted the sentence of 37 murderers who are on death row. How many are actually on death row? That would be 40. So let me see if I have this straight. Joe Biden is morally opposed to the death penalty and does not want anyone executed unless they appeared on the cover of Rolling Stone. Unless they're really, really infamous, then we can kill them. We can kill Dzhokhar Tsarnaev and Dylan Roof and the guy who shot up the synagogue in Pittsburgh. That's okay. But the other 37 guys, which includes at least 5 child killers, 9 guys who killed fellow prisoners or prison guards while on death row, because the death penalty is not a deterrent. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. If you execute them, they can't kill their fellow prisoners or their prison guards. But that's the latest from Joe Biden as he slithers off in his final days. Here's from the New York Post this morning. President Biden on Monday commuted the sentence of 37 of the 40 men on death row, a list that includes at least 5 child killers and several mass murderers in a stunning act of clemency just 2 days before Christmas. This is, to me, this is heartless. This is cruel. There are lots of victims out there, victims' families, survivors of these heinous crimes. And 2 days before Christmas, they find out that they will not get justice. There will not be justice for these families, for these victims. Joe Biden's going to let them live the rest of their lives on the taxpayer dime, 3 meals a day, comfortably in federal prison. And if you want to see the kind of people, if you want to understand the kind of people that Joe Biden, the devout Catholic, has suddenly found mercy towards, it is just sick. Jorge Avila Torres raped and murdered 2 little girls, age 8 and 9, while they were out for a bike ride. That guy, he now can live happily ever after. Joe Biden found mercy for Jorge Avila Torres. There he is. He killed another woman after killing the 2 little girls. They're the victims right there on the screen. 2 children out for a bike ride. Joe Biden has told us he respects jurors, juries, and judges. He respects the judicial system, just not when they decide to put an animal like this down. The jury spoke. They decided he deserved death, and he sure does. But Joe Biden decided in his final days that no, Jorge Avila Torres deserves mercy. Here's Joe Biden's. Put his statement back up there because it's just, he's just vile. I'm telling you, the idea that you're going to be, that this is merciful and compassionate to do this 2 days before Christmas. Yes. He writes, or his staff, I guess we have to qualify everything we say about him by certainly saying that he didn't make this decision on his own. He can't. He's a elderly gentleman with a poor memory. He's in the throes of dementia. Somebody's pulling the strings. We don't know who. We don't know who is controlling Joe Biden at this point, but somebody is. He writes, I've dedicated my career to reducing violent crime and ensuring a fair and effective judicial system. Today, I'm commuting the sentences of 37 of the 40 individuals on federal death row to life sentences. These commutations are consistent with the moratorium my administration has imposed on federal executions in cases other than terrorism and hate-motivated murder. I love that term. As opposed, like Jorge here, who stabbed to death, raped and stabbed to death an 8-year-old and a 9-year-old. That wasn't a hate-motivated murder. No, Dylan Roof, Joe Karzania, those are hate-motivated murders. But this guy apparently had love in his heart. Biden continues, make no mistake, I condemn these murderers, grieve for the victims of their despicable acts, and ache for all the families who've suffered unimaginable, irreparable loss. Oh, yes, you ache. But guided by my conscience and my experience as a public defender, now there's no record he was ever a public defender, and chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, vice president, now president, I'm more convinced than ever that we must stop the use of the death penalty. In good conscience, I cannot stand back and let the new administration, resume executions that I halted. So the new administration can execute Dylan Roof and Joe Karzania, but they can't execute these other 37 monsters. And the crimes are just unspeakable. Again, someone like Joe Biden doesn't care about the victims. He doesn't want to get caught up in the crimes. The 8-year-old Laura Hobbs, the 9-year-old Crystal Tobias, out for a bike ride, didn't come home. Their bodies were found the next day by Hobbs's father. That's just one. There is 36 others, and the crimes are just sickening. They're just the worst of the worst. They were given the death penalty for a reason. It doesn't even seem like this should be legal. That one guy in the throes of dementia, one old husk of a man, can sit wherever he is, in the White House or on the beach, and say, you know what? I don't like that darn death penalty. I don't think we should do that. I don't think that's right and just. Oh, 3 of them are really bad. That would look bad. One of them was on the cover of Rolling Stone. One of them killed a bunch of black parishioners in a church in South Carolina. That's really bad. The 2 little girls, I'm not really going to get caught up in that. I'm a Catholic. Yeah, a devout Catholic. That's the AP. The AP story doesn't mention all the victims, but they do say Joe Biden's a practicing Catholic, and this would be consistent with his religious beliefs. Yeah, the guy who believes in abortion up till the due date is a devout Catholic. Oh, yes, he is. Well, the good news is in 4 weeks, the executions can resume in 4 weeks, and let's hope they're expedited. I would like to live to see the day Joe Karzania is put down by the federal government, as he should be. That is the only just, fair, compassionate sentence, the only just and fair, compassionate end to the case of Joe Karzania or Dylan Roof or any of these other 37 monsters. There's just no limit to the damage Biden can do. He will commute. He'll give a blanket pardon to Liz Cheney and Tony Fauci and Mark Milley and Jim Biden and Frank Biden and Joe Biden. He's got 4 weeks to do it. You tell me, what would stop him? What would make him think twice about pardoning anybody, any enemy of Trump? That's going to be the goal, is to hamstring Trump as much as possible. And we know Trump and his DOJ is planning to prosecute Liz Cheney, as well they should. We've seen her efforts to obstruct justice. Mark Milley, who admitted that he was prepared to commit treason against Trump, who did everything he could to stop Trump. And Fauci, of course. Fauci as a get out of jail free pass forever, because he was instrumental in defeating Trump and helping Joe Biden get into the White House. So for that, it doesn't matter that he lied under oath many, many times. It doesn't matter that he lied over and over again and did great damage to this country, essentially shut down the country, closed schools, masked children. All the mistakes, all the crimes of Fauci will be pardoned in the next 4 weeks, which would be a damn shame. We can only hope that someone on the state level will prosecute these people, because Joe Biden's going to make sure you can't prosecute them. You won't be able to prosecute them at the federal level. But this, to me, is just heartless. I can't imagine being a family member, lost a child was murdered, and you're sitting there 2 days before Christmas and you find out the president is showing mercy for the killer, for the murderer of your child. It's just infuriating. Just stay out of it. What do you have to do with this case? It's not compassion. We'll get to a couple more. I want to get to a couple more of the people that Joe Biden, Caboni Savage, a convicted drug lord who orchestrated the deaths of 6 people, including 4 children, through a firebombing to silence a witness against him. Caboni Savage killed 4 children. He's off the hook now. Iori Mikkel, convicted of kidnapping and murdering 5 immigrants that he held for ransom. He got the ransom and he killed them anyway. Leonard Mitchell, convicted in the savage murder of a 63-year-old grandmother and her 9-year-old granddaughter, where he forced the child to witness the grandmother's death before killing her with extreme brutality. Wesley Ira Berkey, guilty of rape and murder and dismemberment of a teenage girl and the murder of an elderly woman. Should I go on? Dustin Lee Honkin murdered 5 people, including 2 potential witnesses, a mother and her 2 young daughters. Dustin is free to go. Daniel Lewis Lee, convicted of the murders of a family of 3, including a young child, in a method involving suffocation, linked to a white supremacist group. Wow. Joe Biden commuted the sentence of a white supremacist. Alfred Bourgeois, convicted for the physical abuse, sexual molestation, and fatal beating of his toddler daughter. That's half a dozen right there. There's another 30 of these people, many of them who killed children. And they are happy guys, happy men today, because Joe Biden showed mercy for them on this in this Christmas season. Just sick. This January 10th, 20th feels like it can't come soon enough. 4 more weeks of this. 4 more weeks of this reprobate making these huge decisions and just doing as much damage as we could. I got to mention this story as we, stick with this theme. This was over the weekend. Didn't get a lot of play, but it should. We've certainly talked about Joe Biden's callousness toward the Gold Star families. As we know, Joe Biden was there for the dignified transfer of the 13 service members that he got killed in Kabul with his disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. We know he showed up and looked at his watch many, many times. We've talked about this a lot. It gets worse. This is from the Daily Mail over the weekend. Joe Biden kept the grieving relatives of the Marines killed in Afghanistan waiting for 3 hours while he napped on Air Force One on the tarmac before the dignified transfer. Multiple military families told the Daily Mail. The shocking allegation comes today amid growing calls for the Biden administration to be investigated over the cover-up of Joe Biden's ailing health. And they go on to all the other things. Joe Biden has been essentially MIA for months. No one's quite sure who's calling the shots. It was August 26th. That was when Joe Biden called for the withdrawal from Afghanistan so he could have a photo op before 9/11. Obviously, it was ill-planned, ill-conceived. When it was over and 13 American heroes were dead, Joe Biden called it an extraordinary success. Imagine being the family. And here's one family member, Royce McCollum, who Riley McCollum was one of the men killed. His sister says, Biden made us wait an extra 3 hours to receive the bodies of our dead family members because he couldn't pull it together. Royce said she and others were waiting for Biden to appear when a military officer told her he was taking a nap on the plane. I don't think they were supposed to admit that, but they did. We sat in that office for what seemed like an eternity, waiting on the doddering old fool, said Darren Hoover, the father of Sergeant Taylor Hoover. The White House denied these claims, but the families don't lie. They waited 3 hours for the bodies of their loved ones so this old fool could take a nap. Oh, yeah, decency and compassion back in the White House. Decency and compassion were on the ballot. God, it's just infuriating. We can't be done with this old corpse soon enough. But he's not the only one. He is not the only one. We got a problem in DC. I got to get to this. We got a problem. We need something. Term limits, age limits. We need something. We have turned the United States Capitol, the White House, the Senate, the House, into an assisted living facility at this point. We have somehow allowed this country to be governed by people who are not at the top of their game. I mean, it is a serious problem to the point where one sitting congressman has been living in the memory ward of an assisted living facility. Yes, she hasn't voted in the House, in Congress for 6 months, but she hasn't been in Washington. She hasn't been on the job. She's been receiving care for dementia while in Congress. That's where we are right now. Lots of big problems for Congress and the White House to deal with. And the people who are in charge they do not have their faculties any longer. It is shocking. We'll get to that story. And on the same day, Kathy Hochul, governor of New York, declared the New York subway safe for travel. We learned they're really not that safe. Yes, another heinous crime in New York. A woman, we believe a homeless woman, was set on fire, murdered by what we believe to be an illegal immigrant. Yes, it continues. This madness continues. We'll get to that shocking story and much more. But first,
Excuse me.
Do you wake up in the morning with a sore jaw, headaches, or ringing in your ears from grinding and clenching your teeth at night? I've been through this. It's fairly common, and dentists charge $600 for a bruxism night guard. Many people are now discovering the Brux Night Guard. Unlike regular night guards that go all the way to the back of the teeth, Brux Night Guard only covers the front teeth. This unique design is what sets Brux Night Guard apart from all other guards. It only covers the front teeth, so the bite force is directed away from the back, where many people grind and clench to help reduce jaw pain and still protect the teeth. You mold it at home to the top and bottom teeth. And unlike other guards, it is made in America and uses 2 materials for added durability. Order a Brux Night Guard today and use the code MAX22 to get 10% off plus free shipping. Go to bruxnightguard.com and enter the code word MAX22.
Here it is. You may have heard about it, but a congresswoman, her name is Kay Granger. She's from Texas. She's a Republican. Texas Congressional District 12. She has not voted since July, and there's a reason for that. She's not been in D.C. She's been in a memory ward in an assisted living facility. She's 81 years old, and the story was broken by the Dallas Express, which I've never heard of, but they do some pretty good work here. They write, amid the ongoing drama in D.C. with Congress furiously debating and voting on interim spending bills, a key question has arisen from constituents in Texas's Congressional District 12. Where is Congresswoman Kay Granger? Quote, I'm hearing she's in a memory care unit. We need to have standards. Representatives who miss 3 votes in a row without announcing a legitimate medical reason should have their salaries and benefits frozen. Someone posted on X. According to a roll call vote, she last voted July 24th. Since then, Granger has not cast any votes. The Dallas Express attempted to reach her district and D.C. offices, but calls went directly to voicemail. They visited her office, hoping to understand what's the issue with Granger. Upon arrival, we found a locked door, no one inside, no sign of the office being occupied. She's essentially in an assisted living facility. She has 2 more weeks in Congress. She didn't run for re-election in November, but she's been in Congress this whole time, and they've tried to keep it a secret. This is a problem. An 81-year-old woman with cognitive issues is a sitting congresswoman where we have this debate about the spending bills last week, and every vote is crucial. That's who's making these monumental decisions for us. And we know we have a man in the White House who, as we talked about at length last week, is no longer there, really not aware, hasn't been aware for the entire 4 years. As we talked about last week, the Wall Street Journal had the big bombshell story about how he doesn't function well in the morning or after 4 p.m., and they had to handle him. That's how it works. He's 82. Mitch McConnell is still in the Senate. He's not the Senate. He's not going to be the Senate Majority Leader, but he does chair the Rules Committee. Really important job. He is on the Defense Appropriations Subcommittee. He is 83 in February, and we saw this, 2 years ago. Mitch McConnell is no longer with us, and yet he's a sitting senator. I've said this before, I will say it again. These people, this congresswoman, this president, this senator, could not serve as security guards in the Capitol. They could not deliver the mail. They couldn't be an aide on the staff. They couldn't be a janitor, a firefighter, a cop. They would be forced to retire by law. Like 20 years ago, most federal bureaucracies, they have a required retirement age, but not the Senate, not the House, and not the White House. These people are narcissists. Any normal, stable human being would say, I can't do this job anymore. I'm just not at peak form anymore. My best days are behind me, but they don't think that way. Joe Biden doesn't think that way. The reason we can't have this discussion, obviously, is the Republicans don't want to do it because Donald Trump is 78. Now, he doesn't appear to have dementia, but he's 78. I can't wait for the day where we are governed by people, I don't know, in their 40s and 50s. Is that asking too much? To have somebody who is in peak cognitive form in the White House or in the Senate or in the House? It's just amazing. We just accept this. Again, they would be forced to retire if they had some insignificant job. And yet, senators, congresswomen, the president do not. That's true. Nancy Pelosi, 84 years old, recovering from a broken hip, going nowhere. She's going to be in the House till she dies, still wielding influence. She gets credit for denying AOC the big seat, the chairman of the Oversight Committee. She whipped the votes for Gerry Callahan against AOC while in a hospital bed with a broken hip at the age of 84. Mitch McConnell turns 83 in February. 83, this is not a job for an 83-year-old. Yes, here's a chart that Elon Musk tweeted out. It shows the percentage of Congress over the age of 70. For years, for decades, it was below 10%, below 5%. And it just shoots up in the last, what would that be? 2020, it shoots up to over 15%. Now it's almost 25% of Congress over the age of 70, where most people retire, play golf, go for walks, read books, spend time with their grandchildren. These people think it's about them. They think when they die, the world ends. They're just raving narcissists who can't walk away. Why can't we vote them out, first of all? Why can't we just have a rule when you're 75, you're done, which is like 15 years after you make air traffic controllers retire. Why can't we force Congress and Senate to retire at 75? Give them a nice parachute, give them great benefits, whatever. They get pensions. Why do they have to stay on when they can't function? Show me Mitch McConnell one more time. Mitch McConnell, you have a date on this? Because this is not recent. This is at least a year ago, is it not?
Yeah, and it happened a couple times.
That's true. Mitch McConnell in front of the media. Imagine these people like with Joe Biden. Imagine when he's not whatever, drugged up, forced up, cleaned up behind the scenes. Can you imagine how they function behind the scenes? This is Mitch McConnell in front of the cameras, in front of the media. Watch this.
2026.
That's right.
Just freezes up.
Question, Senator. Running for re-election in 2026.
Be fair, he sees a ghost.
His campaign, or his aide.
We're going to need a minute.
We're going to need a minute. And here comes another aide. So he's got two people by his side. Oh, here's another one where he freezes up again. And fellow senators are all looking at him saying, what is going on here? And they go up. That's how you know what? I give the credit. I give credit to the family of Kay Granger. At least they did what you're supposed to do with someone in the throes of dementia, a loved one. They put her in a facility that will care for her, give her the care she needs. At least they did that. She should have quit the Congress, but she didn't run for re-election. Mitch McConnell was just asked in that clip, will you run for re-election in 2026? And he freezes up. He's in a comatose state. And they're asking him, will you run for re-election in 2 more years? God, that's just insane. We need legislation. Someone has to have the guts to say we need legislation to keep people like this, to get them to just walk away with dignity. Do you want that? Would you want that of your loved one? I know Jill Biden is a soulless monster who doesn't care that she's the biggest elder abuser in the world. She loves the power. She doesn't care that her husband's humiliated on the world stage. But what about McConnell's wife and family and kids and grandkids? Do they see that and they want that of their loved one? These are awful people. If they do that to a loved one, you shouldn't. You should get them the care they need. They don't need the power. They don't need the fame of being in the Senate or the House. Just walk away with some dignity. Enjoy your final days, your final years, whatever. Sick, just sick. All right, speaking of sick, I got to get to this story. This was incredible over the weekend. If you haven't seen it, yes, perhaps the most heinous crime we've seen in the recent Biden crime wave in the cities. In New York City, yesterday morning at 7:30 a.m., a woman was set ablaze on the subway. Here it is from the New York Post. A Guatemalan migrant has been arrested for allegedly lighting a sleeping subway rider on fire in Brooklyn on Sunday and then watching as his innocent victim burned to death in what the police commissioner called, quote, one of the most depraved crimes a person could possibly commit. The savage killing, which happened at 7:30 on the F train, shocked commuters, MTA workers, and NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch, who said the crime, quote, took the life of an innocent New Yorker. Now, this was a fluid situation. It broke in the morning. There's video, which we can't show you. In fact, I don't know if you can see it. I retweeted it, and it's gone now. It's been taken down, of her standing up on the subway car, completely engulfed in flames. Where's this guy that they arrested? He's standing a few feet away, sits on a bench and watches her burn. When the cops show up, they don't know it's him. He walks away and they get a good picture of him because they got a lot of cameras in the subway, and they find him and arrest him. But he just lit her on fire for kicks on the subway. Another illegal immigrant who apparently came into the country in 2018, and according to one report, was living on the subway. I'm not sure why he didn't have a nice hotel room, but he was living on the subway and just took out his lighter, set her on fire, and then sat and watched her burn. This was one of, I believe, 3 murders on the subway over the weekend. Let's see if I got that right. Yeah. 2 people were stabbed in Queens. 1 died, and 2 people were shot in Brooklyn on the subway over the weekend. It's not safe. Subways aren't safe, and you know why? They're not going to get any safer. Because what would Daniel Penny have done if he were on that train after what they put him through? What if the next Daniel Penny were on that train? Would he stop this guy? Would he stand? Would he get in the way? Would he try to save the woman, or would he look at his phone or walk away, or just stay out of it? That's the way people think now. They have to. They saw what they put Daniel Penny through. But the most remarkable thing was on this same day that a man set a woman on fire, killed her. 2 people were stabbed, 2 people were shot on the subway. The governor of New York posted a video, and this is the single most tone-deaf thing I've ever seen, posts a video boasting about the safety of the subway and how they want you to take the subway. That's why I have the congestion pricing on people driving into the city. They don't want you to drive. They want you to take the subway, and they want you to believe it is safe. This was posted by the governor on the same day this poor woman was murdered, set ablaze, and killed. Watch this.
I'm on the subway train heading out to Queens Center. I have a lot of, not quite last minute, but I have holiday shopping to do. I've got an adorable 2-year-old granddaughter, so it's a lot more fun to shop. I can take the subway wherever we need to go. I want all New Yorkers to feel safe, which is why we've added so many more National Guard, over 250 more people that'll make sure that your ride is as safe as it can be.
Why would you put that up, and why wouldn't you take it down on that day, bragging that it's safe? Do you think she rides the subway to go Christmas shopping? She goes with the kids on the subway. I don't. And I don't think anyone's going to listen to her. This is big news in New York. This is just sickness. And I'm not sure if the suspect, by the way, this is amazing. The suspect, according to the Post, sat on a nearby bench as cops huddled around, pulled his hood up at one point, and an officer walked up to him. "Do me a favor, walk down there," he said. "I need this space cleaned up." The man stood up, walked, and then left the scene. Unbeknownst to the officers who responded, the suspect stayed at the scene and was sitting on the platform just outside the train car. There were 3 high school kids, after they posted the photo, who pointed out where they saw him, and they caught him. I'm not sure if they get the reward, but according to the Post, he's an illegal immigrant from Guatemala. This is insane. And again, this is 2 weeks after Daniel Penny was put through hell for protecting people on the subway from people like this. And Alvin Bragg, Kathy Hochul wanted him in prison. I just can't understand why the subways are so unsafe. Sebastian Zapata is his name. Sebastian Zapata, another doctor, engineer, maybe, came in from Guatemala just to enrich us culturally, because as we know, diversity is our strength. All right, I got much more to get to. We'll see if Biden's commuted the sentence of any more mass murderers this morning. I'm telling you, it is going to get worse. He is out of control right now, or the people controlling him are out of control. It is just not going to be a smooth transition. Trump had a big appearance in Arizona, his first. Recently, he did a rally. It was, I guess you'd call it a rally. It was amazing. His video people are incredible, even better than mine. The people who put the snowflakes up here, and Ironhead, who puts the video. The guys working for Trump are amazing. He had a 6-minute video before he was introduced to the crowd, and it was just chilling. It was so well done. But he said some things. As I've said before, Trump is not holding back at this point. He knows he's never going before the voters. He doesn't care what the media says. He doesn't care. He's going to control the DOJ, the FBI. He knows he won't be arrested and indicted anymore. He knows they aren't going to come up with some phony Russia hoax this time to undermine him. He is unshackled, and it's great to see. We will get to some of what Trump had to say in an amazing moment on Saturday Night Live. Not a funny one, but a very telling one when Colin Jost talked about Luigi Mangione. The reaction to the live audience was sickening. We'll show you that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
Do you want a better way to simplify finance operations for your business across expenses, vendor payments, and accounting? If so, Ramp could be a complete game changer for you. Ramp is the corporate card and spend management software designed to help you save time and put money in your pocket. Ramp gives finance teams unprecedented control and insight into company spend. With Ramp, you're able to issue cards to every employee with limits and restrictions and automate expense reporting so you can stop wasting time at the end of every month. Ramp saves you money. Businesses that use Ramp save an average of 5% on the first year. Ramp is easy to use. Get started, issue virtual and physical cards, and start making payments in less than 15 minutes. Whether you have 5 employees or 5,000, doesn't matter. And now you get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/Gerry. That's ramp.com/Gerry, ramp.com/GERRY. Cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
I don't know, Ironhead. It feels like we're the only ones working today. You get that feeling? The only live podcast, the only updated podcast that I can see. Everybody is gone for the holiday season. I love that. It's not Christmas. It's a holiday. Everyone's off for the holiday. Not us, damn it. We're here. We had to be. You know what I told you? We'll wait and play it by ear. As soon as I heard that Biden was sparing the lives of some of these monsters, we had to do this. But speaking of monsters, let me get to the SNL clip, but I want to do Trump first because he was good, man. Trump did a speech to a bunch of supporters out in Arizona at Charlie Kirk's event, and he should keep Charlie Kirk happy because Charlie Kirk was instrumental in the win. Charlie Kirk and Scott Preslow are the two guys most responsible for getting young people to come out and support Trump. But he said things. I mean, everyone's focusing on the Panama Canal. He wants to take the Panama Canal back. You know what that is? That is just Trump negotiating. I'm going to guess he doesn't really want to take control of the Panama Canal. I'm going to guess he's looking for a better deal, which motivates him on just about every issue, like with the tariffs. He's not looking to put tariffs on everything. He wants a better deal. He wants to negotiate. That is leverage. That's the way he thinks. That is what he's doing here with the Panama Canal, posting a picture of the U.S. flag in the canal with the sign, the U.S. Canal. He wants to change it to the U.S. Canal. I'm going to guess he's just looking for a better deal, but we will see. So he goes before the crowd, and man, did he serve up red meat to this crowd. And it's going to be great. January 20th, everything changes. This could be my favorite part because I know how much this annoys the media. They were apoplectic after he came out with this. He's not going to, temper his views or tone down on January 20th. No, he's going all in, as we know, on everything, on immigration. Tom Homan is ready. Day one, as Homan says to everyone, day one, he's coming. And every day he becomes more motivated when you see an illegal alien lighting someone on fire. Yes, I think more and more people are going to embrace Tom Homan and his troops when they make the move and start removing the worst people in society in 4 weeks. But Trump was talking about the trans lunacy, as he called it. This is a winner. As I've said before, this is an 80-20 issue. Most people, Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. They know how wrong it is, how insane it is to have men in women's locker rooms, men in women's sports. We talked about that last week with the coward Charlie Baker, the pathetic squish Baker, now president of the NCAA, who just refuses to mandate no men in women's sports, no men in women's locker rooms. That's not like the average American, a mother. They don't want men in their daughters' locker rooms or in their daughters' sports, or in the military. We don't need that. They're a small minority. They have all the rights we have. They just don't have the right to invade women's spaces. And Trump not holding back. He's not going to nuance his view on this issue, and the crowd loved it. Just watch.
With a stroke of my pen on day one, we're going to stop the transgender lunacy. And I will sign executive orders to end child sexual mutilation, get transgender out of the military and out of our elementary schools and middle schools and high school. And we will keep men out of women's sports. And that will likewise be done on day one. Should I do day one, day two, or day three? How about day one, right? Under the Trump administration, it will be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
Imagine a U.S. president having to say that. Imagine 20 years ago, 30 years ago, hell, 10 years ago, that's somehow controversial, that we don't want men in women's sports, men in women's locker rooms. And you say, there are only two genders. That's it. Check one. That we are going to look back on this last, 5, 10 years. Well, it's been 5.5 since I lost my job for saying it's crazy to transition a 4-year-old child. We're going to look back on this time of Leah Thomas and other men in women's sports and say, how did we allow that? Who thought that was who thought that was fair and just? And we're going to say this era where they literally drugged, performed surgery on confused children, we are going to look back in shame on that. It is going to be considered one of the great medical scandals in our history. And thankfully, it ends on January 20th. It ends when more states like Tennessee and 26 others, when that is banned in every state. And it should happen. It will happen, I believe. Maybe it'll be banned on the federal level. It should be. And then the lawsuits start from the detransitioners, from the poor, confused kids who were surgically sterilized and castrated. That is just shameful as a country. And it ends on January 20th. Two genders. Real controversial. Two genders. Here's the Biden administration, by the way, dropped the Title IX, their bastardization of Title IX to allow men and women's sports. ESPN headline, Biden drops plan to protect transgender athletes. How do you protect them? By letting them play, letting boys, there's no girls playing in boys sports. It's only boys and girls sports. So you're protecting them by letting them beat up on women or take their trophies or take their titles. That's protecting them. That's the media, though. This will drive ESPN. They're as far left as the New York Times or anyone else. They're going to hate this. Day one, an executive order saying no more Leah Thomases. Those days are over. They can play sports. No one's stopping them. You just have to play against the people of your same sex. That's all. You're Leah Thomas. You just have to keep going against the boys, Leah. You did it for years. You get to do it for the rest of your career. You don't get to move on, switch, put on a girl's bathing suit and kick their ass. That's just not right, not fair. And it ends on January 20th. All right, before we go, we got to get to this SNL clip. Yes, I watched again. I don't know why. I'm a masochist. I hate watch SNL. And I just wait for the day. I'm nostalgic. I look back on the days of Chris Farley and Norm Macdonald and Dennis Miller and Phil Hartman and just say, this used to make me laugh every Saturday night. And it's not appointment watching. I'll record it and watch it if I feel like it, if there's a guest or a host. They have Martin Short. He joins the 5-time host club, and it was so lame. They had all the old Tom Hanks was there, and he was looking shaky. Literally, he was shaking. He looked like his character on Saving Private Ryan, John Miller, Captain John Miller, with the shaky hands. But they all came. Alec Baldwin was there, and it was so lame. They don't have any comedy writers. They don't make anything funny. So they do the Weekend Update with Colin Jost and Michael Che. And no surprise, they do the Mangione story. I think this was a little bit of a surprise. Colin Jost introduces the Luigi Mangione story, and the crowd reacts as expected in New York City, I would say, with the kind of people who still show up to watch SNL. But watch this.
Luigi Mangione dropped. Yeah, definitely woo. You're wooing for justice, right? Luigi Mangione dropped his extradition fight and was flown from Pennsylvania to New York to face multiple charges. In related news, Bumble exploded.
I don't get it. What does that mean? Bumble exploded?
It's a dating website.
I know, but why is a dating website exploding? Does he think like Mangione's on it?
That was the joke. It wasn't a good joke, but that's what he was going for.
I see. Bumble, is that the gay or is that the heterosexual website? I don't know.
Grindr is the gay one.
Oh, Grindr's the gay. That might have been funnier, but it wasn't funny at all. Nothing was funny. It was a terrible, terrible show, but there wasn't anybody like booing or hissing or anything. It was a loud ovation for Luigi Mangione. It continues. This demented worship, adoration for this psycho. He appeared in New York this morning. They dressed him up. They had him in a sweater with the collar. He's still shackled and handcuffed. He still gets an entourage heading into court. The protesters were back supporting him. And it was like 9 in the morning. And I checked the temperature. It was 15 degrees in New York City. And these people showed up to support this cold-blooded killer. How did this happen? I understand he's handsome. I understand some people have this sick fascination, but you're literally going to get out of bed on a Monday morning and show up on the streets of New York, make a sign, Free Luigi, and stand out in the 15-degree temperature to support a man who murdered a father of 2 in cold blood on the streets of New York City. And we don't know yet. Obviously, New York is not going to pursue the death penalty. They can't. But the feds might. And you know what? This is terrorism. This is violence with a political end, religious or political. He murdered him for political reasons. So he is a terrorist. They should seek to execute him. I'm sure, if there's a Democrat in the White House, when he's finally when they finally get to his expiration date, they'll pardon him or commute a sentence. But hopefully they pursue the death penalty. I don't even understand what kind of defense. His family hired a very renowned, high-priced lawyer. What's the defense? Well, what do you say? I mean, he literally confessed in his manifesto. He's on video. Everyone knows he did it. What do you do when you go to court? I never understand that. Like, what are they, when he's huddling with his lawyer, what are they going to say? I mean, I guess you could beg for mercy and hope they don't execute you, but how does he avoid spending the rest of his life in prison? It doesn't. I've read as much as anybody on this, but I don't quite understand it. What the defense is for Luigi, who is still getting people donating money, people sending money so he can buy things at the prison commissary. God, no, what a sick world we live in. And before we go, I have to say R.I.P. to Ricky. Ricky Henderson passed away at the age of 65. Now, this was one of those moments where I saw it and said, he's not supposed to die now. He's 65. The guy was a rock. He played till he was 44. He played for $1 million. He played for 25 years. played for 21 years in the American League, 6 years in the National League. Oakland, New York, Padres, Mets, Seattle, Boston, Toronto, Anaheim, Dodgers. He's played for half the teams in the league. And we say it a lot when people, about athletes, they're one of a kind. This was the ultimate, one of a kind, unique, original unicorn, man. The greatest leadoff hitter, the greatest base stealer, the greatest run scorer of all time, batted righty, threw lefty. Don't see that very often. And he was kind of a weirdo. Everyone talks about Ricky. Ricky talked about himself in the third person. And I told the story on Twitter over the weekend, but I was sent to Monterrey, Mexico in 1996 to cover the Padres Mets in a regular season series. They played 3 games in Mexico because the RNC took over the Padres Park in San Diego. And it was not a great assignment. I think I was new. I don't know. I covered baseball for SI, and they sent me to Monterey. And it was a little hairy that we were told, stay out, don't leave your hotel. Do not leave the hotel. The players were told they couldn't leave their hotel. So they were miserable. It was 105 degrees. It was a day game, and I decided I'll approach Ricky. He was with the Padres, and he was a scrub. He was 36 or 37 at the time, and he was a backup. So I thought he'd be particularly ornery. All the players and coaches were miserable because they were in Mexico in August. And I approached him, and I was a little apprehensive. I thought he'd be kind of a dink. Lots of guys were, difficult during that few days in Mexico. Could not have been nicer. Couldn't have been more accommodating. I sat with him for, I don't know, memory serves. It was like 20 minutes, half hour in the dugout, just laughing, talking, telling stories. He was great. And I was so happy because he was, Ricky Henderson. He's a huge star back in the day. And he was just a terrific guy. He didn't, I saw him again the next day. Didn't remember my name. Didn't remember anybody's name. One of the great Ricky Henderson stories was he played with John Olerud, who first baseman, played a few places himself. I forget which stop he was with him, maybe the Mets and the Padres. So he's he sees Olerud in the spring, and Olerud wore a batting helmet in the field because he had a head injury. Always wore a helmet, even in the field. And Ricky talks to him, meets him, and says, I played with a guy last year that wore a helmet in the field. And Olerud says, Ricky, that was me. we were on the same team last year. He was funny. He was he was one of a kind. And if you want to see a unique career, go to Baseball Reference and open up the Ricky Henderson page. It lets off a beam of light when you click on it. Black ink everywhere, led the league in so many things, and all-time base stealer, all-time stolen bases, 1,406. That's not quite Cy Young level, but it's close. That is a record. It's going to be tough to break. Runs, 2,395, career leader, all-time leader in runs, Hall of Famer. And he is no longer with us. Gone at the age of 65. R.I.P. Ricky. That was, he was fun to watch, man. Kids imitated him. You crouched down like him. You ran like him, snatched the fly ball like he used to snatch the fly ball. He was something else. But all right, that will do it for today. And I'm not sure when we're going to be back, Ironhead. We will see. As events dictate, we will come back and do it again when there is news happening. But until then, I will say to everybody, have a great Christmas Eve and great Christmas. What are you doing, Ironhead? You traveling?
Going to my parents' house.
You're already gone. Forget it. He's already left for the holiday. He's already left for Christmas and New Year's. Hopefully.
You started the sign-off, so I was getting ready to do the sign-off thing.
I just asked you, what are you doing for Christmas?
I said I was going to my parents' house.
Oh, it's exciting going to your parents' house.
Yeah, right on the ocean. It'd be nice. Nice view.
We got 13,000 watching on Twitter right now. So some people are still around, still watching. We got 3,500 on Free Speech Rumble. And how many did I just say? On Twitter, we got 13,000. People are still engaged. At least I don't think they are on Christmas Eve or Christmas. But if things are happening, things are breaking, we will be back later in this week. But that will do it for today. Thanks to everyone for watching and listening. Have an awesome Christmas. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we will do it again real soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my God. Is she crazy?
Thank you. Thank you
Wow.
all. Thank you so very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, too many thank yous.